and
Oddworld.
Hey oddballs, I'm your host Jensen, and welcome to episode 164. All right, we're going to jump right in today, and we're going to touch back on the psychic book, so let's get into it. It's
Lesson time.
Today's psychic lesson is internal self-doubt. Opening yourself up to self-doubt can lead to confusion. The doubt begins when you do not have a clear belief that your psychic abilities have been given to you for the good of the universe. You can create the doubt in yourself, or others can create the doubt in you. Often, self-doubt is a result of fear. It is in your human nature to try to avoid the unknown, which by nature includes some potentially dangerous situations. But when you run from fear, it follows you and grows in proportion to your retreat. Most often, you are afraid without knowing what you're afraid of. It is this fear of the unknown that can paralyze your psychic development. In his book, The Gift of Fear, Gavin DeBaker indicates that when you fight fear, it becomes part of your family. In other words, the fear lives with you all the time. When you stop and ask yourself what your fear really is, you are taking an important step. Not only in beginning to understand how it is affecting you, but in finding ways to successfully deal with it. Fear of the unknown can eat away at your whole being. It can prevent you from moving forward along your life map. It can bring you face to face with old unresolved karma. Fear can rear its ugly head at any moment. It can manifest itself through your unconscious mind. I feel like that's a really big one. Fear is huge. People are afraid of all kinds of things, and it doesn't even matter if you don't care about anything. Everybody is afraid of something. So what are you afraid of? Let me know, and let's go ahead and move on to stories.
This comes from Comfortable-Bet6294 on Reddit.
Last night, something absolutely unreal went down, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around it. I had just lit a joint, but wasn't even high yet. Like the kind of moment where your mind is still sharp and aware. That's when I noticed two pigeons sitting right next to each other, completely frozen. And I don't mean they were just sitting still like birds sometimes do. These two look like statues. Not a single muscle moved. No blinking, no adjusting, nothing. Now, anyone who's ever been near pigeons knows this isn't normal behavior. Pigeons are nervous, jumpy creatures. They scatter the second you throw even the smallest pebble near them. But these two, they just sat there, unbothered. I started throwing rocks at them, hoping to scare them off like usual. But nothing. No reaction at all. Then things got weirder. I actually hit one of the pigeons right on the head. And this pigeon, instead of flying off or even flinching like any normal bird would, its head twitched and then snapped right back to the exact same position it was before. Like some glitch in a video game or frozen frame. And then suddenly moves and resets. At this point, I was genuinely creeped out. I left the area for a couple hours, thinking maybe they'd fly off or something would change. But when I came back, the pigeons were still there, still motionless like statues. Hours had passed. It was loud around me, light was everywhere, yet these two birds stayed frozen. Then morning came, and both pigeons were completely gone. No feathers, no blood, no mess. No trace they had even been there. I'm not gonna lie, this whole thing felt otherworldly, like some kind of supernatural sign or message, but it also felt eerie and mechanical at the same time, like reality had somehow glitched in front of me. I've never seen anything remotely like this in my life, and it's left me seriously shaken. Has anyone else ever experienced something this bizarre? Am I losing my mind, or did I actually witness something beyond natural explanation? I'm still trying to make sense of it all. Okay, so this one is very weird, but my mind kind of went to some kind of bird disease that causes paralysis. And I did happen to look that up, and there's like avian botulism and all these other things that I don't know how to like freaking say, but basically birds can stay paralyzed for hours, and maybe these birds were paralyzed, unfortunately. Now, while that's not super exciting and it's not a paranormal explanation, that is like where my brain first went. Now, if it was a paranormal thing, I would think that it's a message, but like what kind of message? Because like, you know, cardinals can be seen as like a relative coming. It's a good thing, you know. Doves, good thing. Crows and ravens typically are like linked to death, but like, I don't know. I think they're pretty cool, and I think they're just misjudged because I've always kind of wanted a crow or a raven. But that aside, pigeons specifically, I don't know. Maybe some kind of just like messenger bird. Period. I don't know if there's something going on in your life that someone would bring you a couple birds, and while they're just birds, does it mean something to you? Like specifically pigeons, like sitting very still. Also, that poor pigeon, I know you didn't mean to smack it on the head with a freaking rock. And I know it probably wasn't that hard, because like, I'm sure you weren't, you know, whatever, but my God. Oops. I really feel that if this isn't some kind of message that you can understand from, I don't know, maybe like your spirit guides or someone who's passed away in your life, whatever you believe in, then maybe these birds had a disease, which is really sad. Honestly, it's really sad. I'm an old lady and I really like birds. I don't know. I really like animals, period. Okay. The older I get, the more I like animals and like the environment and like freaking tree hugger over here. I don't know. I love it. Okay. Leave me alone. Anyhow, if anybody else has any other ideas as to what this could be, other than like, I don't know, a bird disease or some kind of sign from the spirit world, let me know. And let's go ahead and move on to the next story.
This comes from no-run 8228 on Reddit.
I was walking alone on some waterfall trails, but climbing the big rocks along the sides, jumping from one to another and sliding down, having fun. I began to slide down a rock when I heard a very stern and loud voice yell, "Grab onto that branch." And so I did. I used it to pull myself up and went back to the main trail. At the bottom of the trail, I looked up and realized I can see my slide marks in the dirt that led to nothing but an 80-ish foot drop onto the jagged rocks. I'm talking literal inches from death. Some interesting things to highlight. I didn't realize there was a massive drop or understand the intensity of the situation until I was at the bottom looking up. I was alone, but the voice seemed to come from an external source directly above me. The voice was different than my internal dialogue voice, and the branch I grabbed onto was thin and flexible, but somehow held the weight of myself, basically doing a pull-up. I often think about the fact that I wouldn't be here today if I didn't hear that voice. Yeah, that's definitely a spirit or like spirit guides. And I love that they're like it was a different voice than their internal dialogue voice. Because, okay, I'm going to sidebar real hard here, but do you know that a lot of people don't have an internal dialogue, or like can even like see images in their head? They can't see shit. If you're one of those people, let me know down below, because I just couldn't believe that as an adult, because I learned this as an adult, that some people just don't see images in their head, and also don't have a voice inside their head either that kind of like narrates or like talks to themselves. Like it's interesting. So anyhow, the fact that it wasn't their internal dialogue is like leading me to believe that there was a spirit who, one, is totally watching over them and is probably with them all the time and was like, hey, this is really stupid. You need to grab onto this or you're going to be with me, buddy. Or two, it's a spirit who just kind of resides in the forest and happened to be watching you, luckily, and they were like, yo, you're gonna die. You are going to die here if you do not grab onto this branch. And like, honestly, thank God for these voices, or, you know, whatever you believe. But this one's freaking wild to me, and it gives me like the chills, but in such a good way, because even in death, spirits are still watching and taking care of people. And so now I need to know, have you had somebody pass away recently in your life who was close? Or can you think of somebody who has passed away? You don't necessarily have to be close, but you're close enough that they would be like, yeah, let me take care of you. But honestly, it could be, you know, like I said, your spirit guides who are like, hey, stop doing that. Like, for some reason, I feel like this isn't the first time your spirit guides have had to get you out of something, if it is them, or the spirit who watches over you. Literally not judging at all. I just really have this feeling that like something else has happened before, and they were like, yo, I am so sick of trying to get you out of your shit. And they just literally were like, they voiced it to you this time. That sounds crazy. And like, I don't know you. And now I'm making shit up. And I don't know. This one just, it creeps me out. And that's just how I feel about it. It creeps me out, but like in the best of ways. And yeah, I would love to know what you guys think. If you have a story like either Story Today or any paranormal story in general, head on over to my website. Let me know. And I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And well, it's an odd world after all. Oddballs. Thank you for listening. And if you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to leave 5 stars or thumbs up on whatever podcast platform you listen on. If you have any comments for this episode, comment below or head over to Instagram and comment on this episode's preview. To submit a story or for more information, go to itsanoddworldafterall.com.